What's the future of dirt bikes over the next 5 or 10 years? All right, with our current political climate and all the things going on, it can be a little bit sad and depressing to realize and to comprehend the future of dirt bikes. Here's some of my thoughts. First of all, lately, last couple years, been a lot of talk of electric bikes. And I don't have anything personally against them. What I will say is I love regular old engines. 2-stroke engines, 4-stroke engines, fuel-injected engines, carbureted engines. I love it all. The feel, the smell, the sound, the vibration, the clutch. I really like a clutch because the clutch is my crutch, as I say. That's what helps me ride, is using that clutch, modulating it, burning it up. All those things, I really like a clutch on the track or trail. So with all the electric bike buzz, one of our problems is I like to do 40 to 50 minute motos at Glen, Helen. And that's a deep track with big hills. And unfortunately, that's not really possible right now with the current group of electric bikes out there. So I want to be able to do that, come in, rest a few minutes, and maybe go do a 15-minute moto. And that's just not feasible. The other thing we like to do a lot is big trail rides. We want to go to 5-7 hour trail rides, 5 to 6 maybe for me, 7-8 for Spencer. So 5 to 6 hour trail rides up in the mountains, in the desert, very remote locations. And the idea of being out there with a bike that would potentially go into limp mode to get back is very disheartening. So I'm a little bit concerned about that. I will also say that 25 years ago, everybody was, what's that, crying wolf about 2-strokes would be no longer. There'd be no more 2-strokes in a couple years. I was gonna buy up like crates of CR250s and have them stored away. Like Scrooge McDuck, I would have them and I would just get them out every few years. Now, here we are, 2026, Yamaha has a YZ250 2-stroke for sale still. So that little bit of scare was way over buzzed, let's say, right? All right, so first of all, I think for the next 5 years in the current political landscape, I think we're okay on the current bikes that we like. 2-stroke, 4-stroke, I think we're gonna be okay. 10 years, a little hard to be as optimistic. So I think we're gonna be okay as far as bikes go. I think the new bikes coming out, we're still seeing very minimal changes from year to year. We're not seeing huge improvements. I think we're going to see better mapping from the factories. We're seeing some weird regulations coming in that are compliant with FIM and European standards of quieter bikes. And that hurts power, which means they have to do other things to try to get the power up with a quieter bike. I don't think most people agree that, hey, quieter bikes aren't going to solve the problem. People complaining about motocross tracks, if we're quieter, they're just going to complain about the dust, the fact that we're having fun and they're not, those types of things. So I don't know that quieter bikes is going to be a problem. I think of a biggest argument we all hear is when you go to a Supercross and the next week they have a monster truck event in the stadium. The monster trucks don't have any sound regulations. They run open headers, very loud, people love it. NHRA, drag racing, no sound limit, seems to go just fine. Unfortunately, compared to this bike, most of the modern 4-strokes are going to get more and more expensive to repair because of the cost of parts. Cost of parts are very expensive, and then cost of labor. If you're not able to rebuild your own 4-stroke engine, it's going to be very expensive to get done. So that's our future with 4-stroke fuel-injected bikes, is it's going to be expensive to keep them up and maintained. So that is a downside that's coming to us for sure. So in many cases, coming up in the future, and even right now, if you have an engine problem, many times the math can simply not make sense to fix the engine, and you sell off the suspension and part out the bike and go salvage and get a new bike or a new used bike to you. I do believe in the next few years we will lose some dirt bike manufacturers. We've had some guys come into the market. I can't see them all surviving the next 5 to 10 years with the decreasing amount of riders we're gonna have. One of our biggest hurdles is that we're losing riding lands and tracks by the day. There is no reason for, at least in my opinion, of optimism that we're gonna have any more riding areas or tracks in the next 5 to 10 years. It's only gonna get worse. That's the reality. So that is, I don't see how that gets any better with the pressures of people who are pushing to make our lands not accessible to off-roading, those types of things, and people that have a lot of power to complain about noise at a local track or dust or whatever they want to complain about at your local track. That's going to be a problem. Also, the cost of people running a track is extremely high. Insurance costs have gotten really high. People will get hurt at a track, and then of course they sue it. Now, people get all mad that the people sued. Many times they don't have a choice. It's their insurance company suing the track because they have to put down where they got hurt. And this also goes for guys that have private tracks at their house. That's a future for a lot of people that don't have a lot of riding lands around them or a lot of riding tracks. They have friends who have a farm field in Illinois or Missouri, wherever they live. They have a farm field, they cut a track in, and they have people come over. And that will last until someone gets hurt. And their insurance company finds out where they got hurt, and that'll bring that to an end quickly as well. So unfortunately, we are losing lands by the day, and we can do all we can. I'm not saying we don't do anything to try to prolong that, but I'm not optimistic that our future is going to get any better as far as more riding lands or tracks. I do applaud all those people that run tracks for the love of it. Most of them throughout this country are enthusiasts who keep these tracks open not to make a big profit, but because they love the sport. That's their main emphasis. For most of the people that are running on a mom and pop level in their small areas, that's why they do it. They love it. I also really appreciate those like Blue Ribbon Coalition and different organizations that fight to keep trails open. And so if you can invest in helping those and also in maintaining trails, those things are all great things you can do to help. And we try to do and contribute where we can as well. Another thing that's really hurting our sport is the golden age of motorcycles. Guys who rode in the 70s, 80s, early 90s, they're dying off. Grandpas, dads, uncles, they're dying off. Those are the people, the guys that were getting the younger generation, kids, into moto. And they're all dying off, unfortunately. So as they get too old to ride or die off, they're not going to go buy the bikes and take the kids riding because that's what needs to happen. And so unfortunately, we're not getting that same type of draw for a lot of the younger kids out there. The reality is, unfortunately, nowadays, a kid just can't go pick up a dirt bike and ride it from his house. You hear all those stories from the 70s and 80s where guys would just have a dirt bike and ride it into the riverbed from their house or ride it down to this farmer's field and they could go ride. We kind of agreed that for most of the country, that's not a viable option. So now kids, it's hard to even get them to want to come outside, let alone want to go be in the dirt. Now there is a little bit of a shift where guys are like the Surons and electric bikes, kids are running around neighborhoods, but that doesn't seem to be transitioning into kids riding dirt bikes in their 20s as they get through with high school and able to afford a truck and a new bike and to get out riding. So our newer generations of riders coming in that those older people would bring in and help buy them bikes and get them into it is smaller, and then the younger kids just don't want to do it. So I see our young people coming in as decreasing. This is evident for us when I go to a local race like at Glen, Helen, and they have a local race. The very young kid classes are bigger, 50s and 85s, 65s, 85s. Those classes are bigger. And then the vet classes, really from 35 and 40 up 50, 60, those classes are bigger than just the regular, let's say 450 novice or 250 novice. Those classes aren't nearly as big as the vet classes. The future's bleak, right? Well, the moral of the story is you got to go riding right now. Ride today, tomorrow, the next day. You got to keep riding. Do all you can to keep riding because it's an incredible sport. I think it's one of the best and most fun things on this earth that you can be doing. And so you want to enjoy it while you can. And if I can still ride for the next 15 years, I'll be doing it. Go trail ride, go free ride, go moto, go trail, go dual sport. All types of riding. Dual sport, we didn't touch on that a lot, but that is a great place for a lot of guys to be able to ride from their house and go explore in maybe a little bit of iffy areas, but you can at least go explore. You can't do what you maybe used to be able to do, but dual sporting will get you around to a lot of cool areas. So do it all while you can and try to ride as much as you can. Now, when your family asks you why you're riding so much, you can say, Jay said, I need to take advantage of it while I can. And the worst thing that happens if 5 or 10 years from now, everything's just like it is and we can ride, we have plenty of bikes to choose from, and there's tons of tracks, the worst thing that happened is you got to ride a bunch. So you can thank me then. So hopefully you enjoy that. Remember to get out, ride, support all your trail organizations, support your local tracks, all those things that you can do to help moto. Also, if you can help a youngster whether it's a nephew, grandson, whatever, little girls as well, just fine. So if you can support them, bring them in the sport, help them, they'll get passionate about it as we are, and hopefully they will be making this kind of video 20 years from now. So we'll see you guys. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Enjoy some cool riding footage as well. We'll see you guys next time.
Headlines buzz like a bad damn hum. New rules come and watch where you run. But I still live for the two-stroke scream. Fuel in my veins and a throttle dream. They say the future's silent, clean and neat, but I don't wanna lose that heartbeat. Electric's cool, yeah, I get the high, but range anxiety ain't my type. Backcountry miles all day in the wild. I want real freedom, full set style. Ride it while we can. Whoa, burning daylight, twist and throttle stand. If the gates get smaller, we'll still find ground. Keep the tracks alive, keep the tribe loud. Ride today, ride tomorrow. Whoa, worst case, we roll like kings. Ride it while we can. Ride it while we can. They push quite a lag that fixes the fight. Still complain about dust when it feels too right. Costs go up, bikes get hard to keep. Parts and labor cut deep. Land gets locked, tracks disappear. That's why we show up year after year. Blue ribbon fighters keep the trails alive. Support your locals, help them survive. Bring a young rider, light that flame. Pass it down, keep the sport the same. Ride it while we can. Whoa, burning daylight, twist and throttle stand. If the gates get smaller, we'll still find ground. Keep the tracks alive, keep the tribe loud. Ride today, ride tomorrow. Whoa, worst case, we roll like kings. Ride it while we can.